Are you a self-storage owner or operator looking for service providers to help at your facility? Well, the Storage Business Owners Alliance, also known as the SBOA, has you covered. The SBOA is a premier online hub for connecting self-storage owners and operators to industry-leading products and service providers. We provide one-stop shopping for your business with exclusive offers to save time and money. At the SBOA, we believe by coming together, we help owners and operators grow revenue, gain purchasing power, reduce expenses, improve efficiencies, and increase profitability. We also offer many resources such as our conferences and Self-Storage Unlock webinars to help self-storage owners and operators gain the knowledge needed to become more competitive in the industry. To become an SBOA member or to find out more information, please visit www.thesboa.com today. We can't wait for you to join the Alliance.
I'm live. Sorry, guys. I did a computer update and it is literally giving me heart failure over here because my computer is running so slow. Sorry for the lag. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Welcome to the SBOA Self-Storage Unlocked. We have another great episode for you today. Keep your fingers crossed that my internet and this computer issue stops and we have no buffering like I just had. Iris and I are over here on the back end having mini heart attacks and panic attacks. So welcome in. We've got a good one for you today. What products and services should I be selling to help increase revenue? We're going to talk about some of the traditional ones, value pricing, increasing your fees, doing rate increases, and then maybe some non-traditional stuff that you haven't thought about that could be good for your facilities. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jessica Johnson. I'm the Vice President of the Storage Business Owners Alliance, better known as the SBOA. And as you saw by that commercial, we have an event coming up. We have an educational program called Storage for Rookies. Our sister company, Storage Pros Management, had a very large portfolio. We sold that entire portfolio at the end of 2019, but we are back as owners and operators. We have 6 locations now in Oklahoma. But you can come to Storage for Rookies if you're a new owner-operator or an owner-operator looking to scale your portfolio. It's a one-day training event. 2 of my speakers that are on today's event are also speakers for that program, but it really just helps you get your appetite going about is the self-storage industry for you or not. It's a great day of education. That is coming up on August 24th. Follow us on social, join us and our membership so you can get our weekly newsletter so you can stay abreast of all of the upcoming changes and programs and events that we have. We do a lot over here at the SBOA, like putting on these free webinars for you. We do these about 2 to 3 times a month, and we could not do these without other self-storage industry professionals professionals. So big shout out to Mario from Best Self Storage Insurance and SBOA Tenant Insurance, Grace from Absolute Storage Management, and Barry from the Jenkins organization. Happy to have them with us today. I'm going to bring each one of our speakers up so they can intro themselves to you. And I'm going to start with Barry. So Barry, come on up.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Barry Graff from the Jenkins organization. I've been in the industry about 6 years, all with the Jenkins organization. We do third-party management and own and operate our own facilities. Heavy presence in Texas, but we'll go wherever we need to.
Awesome. And Barry, you guys also are not just in self-storage, you do some other type of commercial real estate, correct?
Absolutely. So through the Jenkins organization, we have two different categories. We have premium spaces, which is our self-storage side, and then in Great Escapes, where we have RV park management, resorts, Jellystones, our own brand, which is Great Escapes. I believe we're up to around 13 or 14 of those as of right now. And that side's going just as great as our storage side as well.
That's awesome to hear. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us today. I appreciate it.
Ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a quick video to show you before I bring up Mario, so stay tuned.
Absolute Storage Management is a leading provider of flexible management solutions for self-storage facilities. We manage over 150 self-storage facilities across the United States. Since 2002, Absolute Storage Management has been assembling a team of seasoned subject matter experts. From managers to marketing specialists, our dedicated team of professionals is equipped with specialized knowledge to maximize the potential of your facility. Absolute Storage Management offers a comprehensive range of services to ensure your facility operates smoothly and efficiently. From marketing and customer service to facility maintenance and security, we have you covered. Our innovative and impactful technology solutions streamline operations, making it easier for your facility to capture leads, convert them into renters, and effectively manage rent collection. Absolute is one of the few AMO accredited management companies and was one of the first management companies to service SBA financing to owners using third-party management in the storage industry. Absolute understands that your bottom line matters. Our proven strategies and industry knowledge drive profit maximization. Let our track record of success speak for itself. Partner with Absolute Storage Management and experience the difference. Our expertise, reputation, comprehensive services, and proven performance make us the ideal choice for self-storage management. Contact Absolute Storage Management today and let us take your self-storage facility to new heights. Absolute Storage Management, your trusted partner in self-storage management.
All right. Up next, I have Mario from Best Self Storage Insurance and SBOA Tenant Insurance. Hey, Mario.
Good morning, Jessica. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Mario, give us the rundown about you and what you've been doing over for your insurance company and then SBOA Tenant Insurance.
Sure. So my background is I got into the storage industry about 20 years ago, worked for one of the largest insurance agencies in the state of Arizona and the top 100 agencies in the country, and they had a self-storage program. And when we first launched that, I had the good fortune to meet Ian, the founder of the SBOA, and then 11 years ago, we formed the SBOA Tenant Insurance Program. So Ian, myself, and several other top operators in the industry collaborated and formed the SBOA Tenant Insurance product. And then a few years ago, we recognized the need for us to insure the actual facilities. So I formed an entity and working in collaboration with the SBOA. It's called Best Self Storage Insurance, and we can provide property insurance. So we could actually insure the facilities in buildings, automobiles, if you're using automobiles, et cetera, in the industry. So we pretty much a full service, one-stop shop. And we can provide you with, and we'll talk more about tenant insurance during the webinar.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here, Mario, and thanks for that rundown for us. Last but not least, I have Grace from Absolute Storage Management. Good morning, Grace.
Good morning, Jessica, and good morning to all of our listeners. I always feel weird. It's like talking to a computer screen here, but I know there are folks on the other end of this.
There are lots of them. So, Grace, tell us about
Good.
you and Absolute Storage Management.
Yeah, happy to. I'm excited to be here today. I'm the Vice President of Marketing and Sales at Absolute Storage Management. And Y is a marketing specialist here talking about products and services to increase revenue. Have no fear. I come from an operations background and have worked both as a property manager on site, worked directly with our COO at the time in operations, and have shadowed many regional managers and been to properties. And so I'm really excited to share with you what Absolute Storage Management is doing around different products and services that we're offering to tenants to increase that revenue at the properties. We manage about 150 locations across 20 different states. And so I'm happy to share kind of what's working in some of those markets and just the nuances between them.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, Grace, right? Because every single market, every single property is going to have its unique variances and nuances, like you're saying. So we will definitely talk about that. I'm going to bring everybody back up and we're just going to get this thing kicked off. Audience, I don't think I mentioned this, but I see a lot of you chatting over in the comment section. If you have questions for any of us during this presentation, we like to keep it interactive. We're going to ask you some poll questions, so please respond to those. Please ask questions and please chat with us, and please tell us some of the things that you're doing at your properties. We want to learn from you as well. So I'm going to just start us off with some of the more common and more traditional items we see being sold. But I like to kick it off with the lock conversation, because a lot of people give locks away as part of, trying to acquire the new tenant coming in. Grace, Barry, are either one of you giving locks away, or are you using locks as a revenue stream for your facilities?
It's definitely one of the largest or most common items sold. But like I said, we've got so many different properties, and sometimes you just have to get creative. And so we've done kind of both approaches, especially when we were really trying to encourage online rentals to happen. We were giving away locks for free just because we didn't want an additional fee to be added to that online rental, which could cause people to drop off that process and not complete it.
Sure.
But we've added it back, and we've not seen a huge drop off. So we're charging locks both online and in the office. And it's kind of how we just present the cost to it. It's more of the package of $50 is going to move you in today. And that includes a lock. So pick it off of the wall for you.
Yeah, awesome. And audience, tell us if you sell locks or give those as part of your rental process. We want to hear from you. Barry, what do you guys do?
Yeah, I'd agree with Grace. I mean, it's kind of, both sides of it. We'll use it every once in a while, like say instead of giving a concession away or doing something like that. I mean, at the end of the day, what do you pay? $5 to $7 for a lock. Well, I'd rather give that to them than a free month or half a month off, something along that line.
Sure.
I have a property where it's somewhat unmanned, so we put it in the unit, kind of like Grace was saying, and we add it into the admin fee. So they're getting the lock as a package deal. We've had no pushback on it, taking the admin fee from 24 up to 45. We're still renting space, still doing everything we need to. At our other properties, we do have a lock in the unit because of our online rentals. We want somebody, if they come up at 8 o'clock at night, move all their stuff in, and they don't have a lock in their car, we have one in there, but we'll come back and charge them at the end of the day. So we use it as a need basis, but we sell them more than we give them away for sure.
That's awesome. That's good to know. Now, Mario, give us a rundown on selling tenant insurance. And then there are tenant protection programs, but we're going to focus on the insurance side. You can briefly talk about protection programs and the differences, but talk about some of the power of selling the insurance and what that can do for owners and operators.
Sure. So first off, I think, putting the customer first, it gives the tenant a great opportunity to protect their goods in storage, because when the tenant signs that lease, and leases could be 3 to 10 pages long, but buried in that lease is usually it states that the landlord or the operator is not responsible for the tenant's contents. So the tenants are storing at their own risk. And, I've met countless owners throughout the country, as well as management companies. And I think, bar none, the owners, operators, managers do a phenomenal job of doing their best to secure the property, maintaining the property, having cameras, security gates, and all those things. But the fact of the matter is, operators can't control natural disasters. They can't control, a hurricane coming through, tornadoes coming through, huge windstorms coming through. And you just have to look at the news any day, right? And you're going to see that there's a natural disaster somewhere in our country. So the tenants' contents are really at risk, and it's not really the responsibility of the operator, because they're just simply renting space, and the tenants are storing their space. So by offering the tenant insurance product, it's protecting their asset. So from a customer service standpoint, it's phenomenal. Our product has a zero deductible, which is a great benefit. So even if the tenant has homeowners insurance or renters insurance, they don't have a deductible with our program. And then it's primary coverage, meaning even if they have other insurance, we're going to pay first, regardless. No questions asked. If it's a covered claim, we'll go ahead and pay. And then last but not least, there's a revenue component to it. So there's an administrative fee that each operator or management company receives for offering the product. So upon the sale of the product, at the end of the month, they would be able to collect an admin fee for administering the program right at the site. So it adds up, especially if tenants stay for more than a month, right? A lock is it's great to offer locks. It's great to offer boxes, but insurance, there's the reoccurring element, just like there is with rent.
Yeah, and Grace, can you talk about there's some other new reoccurring products and features, and Barry, you guys could talk about this as well, because I think you have a lot of smart units through like the Storage Defender product. So there are other products lines coming into storage that are also helping boost that recurring revenue. Can you all talk about that?
Yeah, I think Mario made a great point saying, focus on, well, when I think about revenue, like it's primarily rent. And so I know we're going to talk a little bit about that, but it is then like all of these monthly occurring charges. And so retail sales, I think we'll probably get into that a little bit more. And there's value in having retail sales, whether it's locks only or locks and boxes and moving supplies. But Mario's right on the money. Like our tenants, we see stay about 14 to 18 months on average. And so it is more important to focus on what can I get monthly from that individual, instead of, to Barry's point earlier, giving away a lock to secure that unit. And so some of the I'll say creative fees that we've started to look at, or creative other revenue sources we're looking at, are primarily security measures. So we're improving our properties, and our owners are making these large investments through security measures. And so we're trying to figure out how can we pass that along. And so in some cases, Bluetooth access has been a newer feature that's being adopted by a lot of owners in the industry. Our owners are doing that as well. And so if we offer Bluetooth access, we're trying to add a small fee, and it's a convenience fee to have this Bluetooth capability on your phone and service the adapter. Like there's a technology component to it that we have to keep that running, so we can almost justify like that cost, because we're pretty clear in what these costs are for. And so the tenants question it. And so we always like to have a why behind it. And so Bluetooth access, just gate access. Also, if you're using like a Bluetooth unit access, which is slightly different, but similar concepts, we are testing, and we're having successful tests with adding some smaller monthly fees on top of that. And so even $3 to $5 a month is more, it all adds up if you've got it on 50 units or 100 units. And so that's really great to be mindful of. But yeah, we're looking at it kind of same thing with Storage Defender. That's an additional cost. It's an additional security measure that the tenant can opt into. But that would be at an additional cost as well. Barry, I think you guys are using Storage Defender on more of your properties than we are currently, right?
Absolutely. I think about probably half our properties have it right now, and we're continuing to roll out, 4 or 5 at a time in the right, dynamic. Obviously it's a great device to sell to tenants because they get that, alert to their hand right away. They get the notice that their door's open. So it kind of gives them that good feeling that they know what's going on in their unit at all times. And then, like Grace said, you're able to pass all those charges on, obviously, depending on how many units you have and things like that, will determine the split. But you can come up with a 12 or 15 or whatever a month reoccurring charge, and then you just pay for the subscription, which could be $5 to $7, and you keep the rest of it. But it's a very good device, especially at certain properties. We have a property we just rolled it out at that has no gate access. It's like in the middle of the neighborhood, which is the only one we have like that, so kind of unique. And so it's done really great. And we've had it a week and already moved several devices due to that, because 24-hour access. And then also, like Grace touched on, adding fees on, access fees as far as 24-hour access or extended hours. There's a lot of talk about looking at your gate access system and understanding how many times people are in and out of the property. Because if they're at your property continuously, opening doors, using restrooms, doing things to where, using supplies in the property, it's costing you money. So you got to find a way to kind of pass that on to them. And then even down to some basic items like Da Vinci locks, we pay for those at a property. So it's somewhat unmanned. So no one's there. So when that tenant comes in, they're paying 30 days late, but yet they want their lock off the second they pay for it. Well, we don't have anybody there. So I have to spend, $15 on a lock so they can take that off whenever they need to. So it's passing those kind of charges on to them as well through reoccurring charges. And like you said, the lifetime of a customer, that's what you want. You want to get them in the door. Then you have them there 12, 14, 16 months. It's what are those little things you can tack on that are beneficial to them, but as well keep putting money in your pocket as well.
Mm-hmm. I would also just encourage owners to think creatively about your current charges. And if you're changing your process, then evaluate those charges. Barry just mentioned he's got some properties that are unmanned, and we kind of have some hub and spoke model is more of our strategy. But regardless, online rentals, that lock fee is different than if you rent the lock in the office, because it is a convenience fee. It is more work on my managers to prep the unit for that online rental. And so we charge a different fee for a lock through an online rental, and it's being supported in the like it's being absorbed and not pushed back. So we're not seeing a drop off in rentals because of that fee.
Sure.
And we're still cheaper than some of the REITs. And so if you haven't like fake rented a unit at your competitors, I would, just to see what are they charging and compare yourself to that.
Absolutely. And I think one thing too, as far as recurring goes, is just one thing a lot of people don't think about is late fees. I mean, I see a lot of places just waive them like crazy. And it's like, that's a huge income line. And the more you waive it, the more they get away with it. You've got to train them that, no, you're going to pay on time. But that's one thing that we really stress, because it's easy for the manager to be in a situation where they're uncomfortable and go, oh, okay, don't worry about the $20. Well, that $20 adds up when you're talking 30, 50, 75 customers a month. So that's a big thing, that, making sure that those are being charged, not waived.
I know owners that will fire managers that waive late fees. So it definitely is a revenue line, one that we, sadly have to collect, but it's not our fault. I mean, and think of other scenarios, right? If you're late on your credit card statement, maybe within a 12-month calendar period, they'll give you that one-time pass, right? And sure, I'm not against that one-time pass, but make it one time and one time only. You do it month after month. You've now created a habit. It's now become the norm. And now in tenants talk. So don't think that they don't talk. Oh, they let me be late the last 4 months and they didn't charge me a fee. And then tenant B's going, well, maybe I'm going to be late the next 5 months since they're not charging fees, right? And we'll get into some fee discussion. I do want to ask 2 questions that came in from the audience to you. So let's pop this one up on the screen. So since technology is getting so cheap along with cameras, what about upcharging for personalized camera/lights inside units? Kind of far-fetched, but valuables can be checked on 24/7 without going to the site. So I'll kick that one off saying I like this idea. But I think like that Storage Defender product and some other products are going to tell you if there's penetration and movement within the unit. So I think that product suffices that particular need right now. But I guess what he's saying more of like where you can like look at a camera system and watch your unit if you want to. I don't think anyone has that just yet. So
I think so I read that Facebook user comment, and I am almost interpreting it as if the customer wants to use their own personal camera in the unit.
Oh, could be. Yeah, could be.
Could be wrong. I think in that case, the only thing you could charge or like increase your revenue by would be to charge for electricity if it was needed, or if they needed to tap into your
internet.
Yeah,
Like
your internet,
charge.
your Wi-Fi. Yeah, something like that. I don't think I would not be comfortable telling you could charge just because they have it, because I would rather err on the side of I don't know what's in your unit.
Yeah. And like I said, I think there's some products out there that really will mitigate anything that's going on potentially within the unit, as we know. So here's a good question. This one's from Mario. And Mario, I know we talked about this earlier. They're just asking, can you just give us a brief explanation? Because this can get kind of detailed, right? But give us maybe like top line, the major differences between tenant insurance and a tenant protection program.
Sure. I think the biggest difference, I think both products serve a purpose. Tenant protection was really designed years ago as a solution whereby the states, each state at the time when they were first developed, did not have the limited lines license, meaning the departments of insurance did not have the ability for operators to obtain a limited lines license as it relates to selling the product. Very similar to the rental car industry. So that went through a lot of development over the years for an employee offering the insurance for a rental car, for example. So the tenant protection programs were a solution to that. So they're not insurance, but from my perspective, and I'm biased, and I'll be very upfront with it. I have an insurance background, been a licensed insurance agent for many years. And I like the fact that the tenant insurance product is regulated, meaning, the forms and the policies and the coverages all have to be approved by the Department of Insurance. And so there's some sense of security in that. I think operators and management companies have enough exposure and liability doing what they do on a day-to-day basis that, offering the tenant insurance product just gives them, they know that it's regulated. They have to have a limited lines license in those states that provide it. And licensed adjusters are used to mitigate the claims, et cetera. So I'm not going to talk bad about tenant protection programs. It would be much easier for us at the SBOA to offer a protection plan. We would eliminate a lot of frictional cost associated with deploying the product, but all of our operators and the top operators that utilize our program have elected for a variety of reasons to use the insurance program. The differences are and so to get back to the original question, what are the differences? One of the key differences is that when you enroll with the tenant protection program, you literally are changing your lease to say to the tenant, I am now going to take responsibility for your contents. And in the event something goes wrong, then I will reimburse you up to set amount that they've purchased. And for that transfer of liability in the lease, you're going to pay a fee. So that's the biggest difference. The only issue I have with that is, and again, being biased, but if you look at the history of self-storage, the lobbyists for the self-storage industry made it very clear that we, meaning self-storage operators, are not warehousemen. It's a big difference between being a warehouse and a self-storage operator, meaning they're not a bailee. Self-storage operators do not take care, custody, and control of the contents. Tenants just simply store their space in a vacant unit. And so that distinction is very clear. And so the lease, when you sign up with the tenant insurance program, keeps that language in place. The lease with with tenant protection is they're modifying that lease. And I think that can cause problems in the future. Now, maybe it will, maybe it's 20 years from now, 100 years from now. But I think when you start changing verbiage that the industry has lobbied for, there's a little potential kink.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for that description. And if anybody wants to talk to Mario further about the differences, and I'd like to plug a little bit, SBOA tenant insurance, gosh, what did it take, Mario? Probably a year or longer, went back to all of the states and redid the program. Talk about that a little bit, because I know Barry and Grace can chime in on that as well. The enhancements of that program just inherently added initial revenue value to both of their portfolios, because you can now charge higher there's higher premiums and you can charge more. Like, you tell me all about it, because I know just a little.
No, that's fine. So we basically what we did was we offered an enhanced program. Mm-hmm. So the other programs are still in place. So if an operator chooses to use one of those products, like our traditional renters program, there's 3 different options of different coverages there. The Platinum program that we launched just provides 4 additional enhancements that are bundled in that package. So by doing that, obviously there's more exposure, higher premium, and the administrative fee went up slightly because the premium went up. So offering that program has been beneficial from a customer service standpoint, meaning now tenants have those additional coverages built in. One of them is coverage for mold and mildew. Another one is for rodent damage. Another one is for outdoor parking if you have vehicles stored in the open. And then the other one is a small limit of tenant legal liability. So if a tenant damages the unit, I'll give you an example. Right now I'm working on an operator and he has a huge fire loss because a tenant threw a cigarette into the unit, right? Thinking the cigarette was out, $24,000 later. So we have a small limit of tenant legal liability. In case a tenant does that, there's a little bit of coverage for that. So.
You are not the only one I've heard about a simple flick of a cigarette butt turning into a major disaster at a property. I did want to note, someone mentioned earlier, I think it was, where was it? Bonnie and Vern. They removed their electrical outlets from their units because they did not want people living in their units. Yes, that is something you do need to keep in mind. The more you empower them with that opportunity, the more nefarious things that could start happening within the unit. And trust me, all of these operators have seen them all, down to, units being used for, oh, there's my cat, sorry, for, creation of drugs. I'll keep it light and friendly for today, but it goes on, right? I mean,
that's light and friendly.
Well, I didn't want to go any further, labs, and all the things that happen, but they happen, right? And then you got hazmat coming in because you've got chemical explosives and all kinds of things going on that can but it can happen. Natural disasters happen. You could not wake up and stop Mother Nature from having a tornado come rip through your property.
Yeah.
I would say, Mario, the biggest thing too from an owner operator perspective is tenant insurance. And again, I'm biased like Mario on the tenant insurance side. Sorry, tenant protection programs, I think they're good too. But I don't want to deal with the claims process. Like, I want that concierge service. They take care of it. They handle it. I'm willing to pay for that, to be hands off from that as an owner, especially, having very minimal insurance knowledge, and that changes all the time, just like the lien law. So it's just like one other thing that you'd have to keep up to date with that you can just push over to this team. And there's a lot of other tenant insurance programs out there. We're not the only one where they just handle it all. So let them handle it. I wanted to talk about this one. So Grace and I are part of an industry group. We meet about, different marketing things that are going on and trends that we're seeing. We saw a really interesting one by being executed by one of the REITs. So they offer the postal service boxes in their facility, but then they're using that for creative marketing because let's say one of those boxes costs $8 a month to rent. So their tagline and their catch on the internet and their ads is rent as low as $8 a month. So somebody's going to go, whoa, okay, I want to see what this deal's about. They got the clickbait, they've clicked, and then they go realize, oh, well, it's for a postal box that's this big. However, they're now on their website. They need storage. They're probably going to at least check you out and see what you have going on. So Grace, do you guys have any of those in your facilities? Barry, you could tell us if you do too. And are you utilizing creative marketing like we saw the REIT do to promote it?
So we do have a couple, but it's very few of our properties have it. And until recently, I didn't even consider putting it on our website because my integrity bone is a little uncomfortable with it.
I get it. It's a play on words for sure.
It is. It definitely is. But the technology is changing now. We've already talked about that. And so the other reason they're doing it, not only so that their paid ads can read as low as $8, but also off website searches are happening. So searchers are using like Chat GPT now, and searchers are using like Siri to ask your phone or your Alexa or Google on your desktop.
Don't get her started.
Yeah. So those searches will show, like, it's going to drive more eyeballs, yes, to those operators just by default, because they are going to pique the interest. Like the search engines that are resulting this information are giving correct information, and then the user will quickly see, oh, it's not what I needed. And so it's a very recent study. Like Jessica and I, we just talked about this in our group 2 weeks ago or so. And so the results are a little inconclusive, but it is making me question, well, maybe I should go ahead and put those mailboxes on our website and just see what happens. So we're going to test it out, and I'll let you know. Barry,
Grace, like you said, like Google's rendering the right information, right? If I'm an end user and I'm saying cheapest storage near me, that $8 is going to resonate higher than the rest because it's going to rank the way it should. So
Google's also though really smart, and so I'm wondering if there are going to be penalties because this is clickbaity.
Clickbait for sure.
That's why it is kind of. It's just new. It's just experimental, and we'll see what happens. If it's still there in 3 months, then we know it's got some legs to stand on.
Yeah, for sure. It's fascinating. I get it. I constantly preach, like, what in that ad is going to make that user stop and go, my eyes, what about, so that from the effectiveness level on that side, it makes complete sense. Barry, do you guys have some at your facilities?
Yeah, so we have a handful of postal operations that have that. And I agree with pretty much the same thing Grace said. Like, I never thought about using it that way till we talked the other day, and y'all brought that up. We just use it, obviously, it's for footsteps to the store and any kind of foot traffic. And that was our marketing idea. But, throwing that low number up there to catch the eyeballs and catch, like you said, kind of basically clickbait is, it's a good idea that I hadn't even thought about. But yeah, we have a handful of stores that do postal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think, just so the operators are aware, pricing is not the only search query that's going on that's getting eyeballs to your site. It's actually like pretty low down on the search, like keywords that people are using to find your website. It's more location driven and it's more features driven.
Right.
And so, like we talked about fees. So far we've talked a lot about fees, but one of the fees that I didn't mention earlier is access related fees. And so we've really moved away from 24 hours being standard, and now that's available with a fee. And so we have more limited access hours, but if you need 24 hours, that's a monthly recurring fee, and that's been helpful to increase some revenue at properties.
Yeah, and if anyone ever wants to know, like, we've got a pretty detailed list of fees that you can charge. Please reach out to me if you're interested. Cleaning fees, lock cutting fees. I mean, there's so many out there. We just always advise that make sure that any type of fee that you're trying to institute is listed in your lease, because if it's not in your lease, you have no leg to stand on to go back to them and say, hey, you left your unit a mess. I'm going to charge you a $250 cleaning fee. They didn't sign on that dotted line that they were okay with that. Good luck getting that. You're not going to.
Absolutely.
I was just going to add in.
Yeah, go ahead, Mario.
When Grace said, about charging the additional fee for 24-hour access, I think it's brilliant. And not just from the revenue is one part of it, but also by mitigating loss, right?
Yep.
If you just advertise 24-hour access, criminals are going to look at that, right? I mean, but if they're going to have to pay extra for that, maybe that's not something that they want to do, because maybe they feel it's going to be scrutinized. Someone's coming in, they're actually paying an extra fee for it, and those are going to be monitored, a little bit more heavily. So a couple of things, I think it's a great, all the way around, I think it's great as far as mitigating loss. And I think it was Vicky that said she took out the electrical outlets, to prevent people from living in. The electrical outlets are really an attractive nuisance. That's an insurance term, right? You're almost advertising, here, come in and do work in here, a wood shop, or live in our unit, by having those available, unless they're monitored heavily. So those are just two comments that I just wanted to chime in on that are valuable to this conversation.
Yeah, for sure. So we talked about, the premiums and the increases have added a couple bucks each, I think, to some of your per tenant, right? I don't want to chump change it. Barry, I think you said you guys on average were getting like an additional maybe like $3 now compared to what you were. So like you did nothing other than enhance the program, and people were on it, and bam. Let's talk about that. Some complementary services that go along with self-storage. Like, most people that are utilizing self-storage are in the middle of some sort of move. So we need moving trucks. U-Haul offers a nice program. There's other programs out there. And Barry, and I think Grace, I think you both utilize the U-Haul side. And we talked when we did the planning call for this about how much revenue that can actually generate. So talk to me about U-Haul free truck rentals that you promote, or renting the truck rental.
Yeah, so with us, I'm a big fan of U-Haul for my properties that I oversee, the 15 I oversee. One of my stores I use for a good example, our last year without U-Haul, we did $1,900 in merchandise for the year. The next year, with the full year of U-Haul, we went up to $5,500. And this year, halfway through the year, we're already at $5,400 in merchandise at that property. So I'm a huge fan of it. It just brings more people in, and it's selling too while they're in there. Like I see a lot of people just go, okay, here's your truck, bye. But they're a customer just like anybody else. I mean, they're, like Jessica just said, they're moving. They're in the process of it. They don't always have all the boxes they need. They don't have all the tape. It's selling to them while you're doing the paperwork, not just, okay, here's your truck, bye. So all my stores that take on U-Haul pretty much double at least their merchandise sales next year.
That's awesome. What about you, Grace?
That's impressive, Barry.
Yeah, it is very.
Yeah, we definitely have trucks available, and there's I think we can get into it, kind of the difference in offering a free move-in truck versus using like a U-Haul or a Penske that you're renting their truck. We too see the increase in retail sales, but as an operator, we choose to be pretty selective in which stores we put U-Haul trucks in, because sometimes we get so much foot traffic that actually takes away from like actually renting the unit itself. And like we talked about earlier, that's the real revenue generator, is that monthly income that comes in. And sometimes those U-Hauls, they're not renting from us. They truly are a one-time purchase. And so I would just make sure that as operators out there that are listening, that you're tracking this kind of stuff. Like you're making sure that U-Haul or Penske is truly benefiting your facility, instead of distracting or detracting from your facility. But we've got some properties that it is just a beautiful relationship, and the foot traffic is great. U-Haul will do extra like marketing materials for you too. And so you might just get a storage customer who is searching for U-Haul, but not using you as the rental U-Haul dealer. They just need a rental from you. And so there's a lot of benefit from it. I also really love the move-in trucks that our properties offer. And I get that that's an additional, like that's a cost that the owner has to take on to purchase that truck. There's additional liability insurance that goes into that. But I think that's a really great, like in this hyper competitive market that we are currently in, that's a wonderful tool to make use different from your competitors, especially if it's free with rental use. And so that's a differentiator from your competitor down the road who will sell you a U-Haul truck. Being able to offer them that free use of a move-in truck I think is relevant right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's definitely one to look at, for sure, right? I mean, I would, whether it be a driving billboard for me and my property so people see it, if I'm doing the free truck with rental, or if I'm just simply renting trucks to make, bigger on the insurance line or bigger on the revenue line. I'm sorry. Let me see this. I'm going to ask this question. So this is from Bonnie and Vern again. Let's see if I can get it up here. My computer's still running so slow. Does anyone have experience with live monitoring and still giving select tenants 24-hour access during monitored times? I asked if she meant a live-on property manager that was living on site, and she was saying no. And there are security companies out there that have like the virtual security guards, if you will, that are monitoring the property. They can come over a speaker and say, "Hey, thief, I see you," or whatever, to kind of get them to go away. Or they can maybe turn like a light on that shines on the person, so they let that person know, like, "Hey, we see you." Anyone have any experience with that, Grace or Barry?
I don't know much about stealth specifically, and I know Bonnie and Vern pretty well, and so I can follow up with them afterwards.
Okay, cool.
I don't know much about stealth. I think another operator that we use, the individual who is given 24-hour access has a code, and so the microphone that's on your facility that, they can't hear it. I don't know. I'm going to have to ask one of the regional managers over those properties to see what their understanding and experience is, because I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, and here, Barry, Dwight from your group chimed in over here. You're using live monitoring at a few of the locations, but it's difficult to offer 24-hour access with the service because the people monitoring the cameras don't know if the people are supposed to be there or not during odd hours after normal gate hours. Barry, anything you want to add to Dwight's comment?
No, that's actually what I was just going to mention, was that as well. So, but yeah, outside of that, we don't have a lot of like the stealth or anything like that.
Yeah,
I thought there was a code that they could give, but it can't be verbal, because in the operator I'm thinking of, their microphone's only one way. The individual can't talk back to the agent monitoring.
What would you even say? Yeah, I'm here stealing goods. Sorry.
I mean, I'm sure they can come up with a story.
Actually, I could too.
Yeah.
I'm a scaredy cat. If I heard whatever the speaker, I tell you what, I'm climbing that fence and getting off that property as quick as I possibly can. So,
Absolutely.
let's talk a little bit about value pricing. We brought it up earlier because we've got about another 10 minutes before we wrap up. So value pricing is a hot topic. It all, climate versus non-climate controlled. Are you on the 4th floor of a multi-level property all the way at the back corner where you're walking 10 miles to get to your unit? Or are you that first unit as you pull in the gate that your car can pull right up to? So let's talk about some of those features that would qualify units for, higher pricing, and where the consumer can kind of come in now. And actually, with like everything else, it's all about convenience and it's all about catering to what the consumer wants. Consumers like to kind of pick their options, right? They want control over what they're buying. And the value pricing, if done properly on websites, and just in general, seems to really help with this. So Grace, you want to start?
Yeah, I definitely believe in value-based pricing, and really kind of the broader stroke of revenue management is hyper important. Again, so we implemented it kind of portfolio-wide last year, and we saw our GPI increase by 30%. And so that was phenomenal. And I'd like to think that we were pretty good at revenue management before that went into place. And so I think that just calls out the importance of bringing some technology into your revenue management, and bringing automation into that. And so that helped with our street rate management. And then value-based pricing compounded that, because we offer 3 different rates for essentially the same product. Mm-hmm. It's just priced differently based out of mostly convenience. I think some of our external units, or those drive-up units, we price them based on security. So how close are they to an exit, or how close are they to maybe a security camera? Mm-hmm. But internal units, those inside units, those are primarily convenience. How far is it? How far do you have to drag your stuff to get to that unit? And we see on our website, we see anywhere from a 30 to 50% upsell. And so that's really impressive, just to see that the consumers, again, they're adopting it and they are attracted to it. And so that's been really successful. And I would highly suggest operators listening in, test it. Just see if you can try some structure type of value-based pricing.
Yeah, Barry, are you guys doing anything?
Absolutely. I would echo that. Yeah, we do the good, better, best, basically pricing on our website. And it's fantastic because, most people are going to at least take, best. That no one really wants to have the lowest tier and go, oh, I don't want, but granted, it's kind of the same thing. They just don't get it. It's the wording that catches them. And another thing as well, and obviously that's on a tech side and your website. And I think one huge thing too is just training your managers. It's in that initial conversation. It's in that inquiry when the customer walks in the door, because every customer has a different concept of what's convenient for them. To you may say, hey, buy this elevator. That's the best unit. That's the one that I can get them on for more money. But if you're talking to them and having that dialogue and learning what's important to them, they may say, I don't really care. You can put me in the back corner. I have movers moving me. So, maybe somehow you try to find a way to do that. Or they may say, well, I want to be in the back corner for security. I think it'd be harder for somebody to go all the way to the back, to get my stuff and then have to go all the way to the elevator. So I think it's just super important to find out what it is that customer when you're talking in walk-ins, in person, in the store. Learning what's important to them could really determine what that premium unit is.
Yeah, definitely. I would echo that too. Like, you should be listening to your customers, their feedback, what they want. You want to service what they want. How about, let's briefly talk about this before we wrap up. So there's a lot of people that are moving to more automation. They're eliminating some payroll. They're eliminating some hours of managers maybe working, and they're going more to the remote model, unmanned modeled, whatever term you want to call it. So if there's not like someone physically there listening, saying, "Oh, you're moving a mattress. You need a king mattress pad. Oh, you're moving this. You need this." What's the way to kind of get around that so people that are moving towards that model can still offer a level of retail purchase if they want to?
I mean,
Barry,
obviously,
I'll let you take this.
yeah. So it's a tough one for us, just because we have one model that we're kind of working on with this whole remote management type process. Everything else we believe in fully manned, but we obviously in today's economy trying to scale back where we can. So what I've done at that store is, the only thing we have available is a lock, but we'll put them in the unit. We just up the admin fee. My manager does a great job of following up, and she runs another facility, 15 minutes away, give or take. So she'll always kind of ask them over the phone, though, do you need anything else for your unit? Because it's all non-climate. So we keep a couple of those items there at the property, like say, mattress bags, damper, little things like that are good for non-climate use. And so when she's going through that final process of lease, because even if they do it online, we like to follow up and ensure that, they know where the unit is. They had no problems getting in. And part of her follow-up is there anything we can get you as far as mattress bags, any of that? Because we don't really list it online, but she'll try to go through that sales approach as if they were in the store with her. And then we'll take it and put it in the unit. But we just don't have that quick turnaround where it's immediate, where if you walk in the store, it's yours. I'm sure in that remote model, usually you have the hub and spoke. You got the one store that kind of manages, 4 or 5 right around it. They have probably a little more convenience to deliver that quickly than what we do, because we're kind of spread out much more than that. But I think if that's your model and you're doing it, I think there's a lot of easy ways to do it through your online. I'm sure you can do a checkout and have a store online where, okay, I want this unit, 10 boxes, whatever. And then you have a manager go over and just place it in there for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what comes to mind when I was thinking about this, Jessica challenged us with this question in our planning call earlier. And I think to do it successful, operators who are trying to be unmanned, have unmanned locations where everything is really pushed to like a sales center or a centralized office. And then you've got to have a landscaper, you've got to have a maintenance individual. You still have to have somebody who can get to the office. It just might be once every 2 weeks or so. I think in that truly remote model, you have to then have an e-commerce site. Like you have to build in your inventory must be accurate on your website. And then you probably also have to build in some type of logistics system where that home office, that sales center, whoever's taking and handling everything virtually for that location now puts that bundle together and ships it out to the individual, which from a convenience perspective, Amazon's not getting stuff to me like in 2 days anymore. And so I think consumers are okay with like a 4-day turnaround. But you would have to just build that new program in and be timely. And so I think those are just some items to consider if you're really trying to be remote and sell retail. Then you probably need to build out a logistics program to ship those items out. And I'm sure there are vendors who could do that. You don't have to take that on yourself. But I would suggest going that route because I think timeliness is going to be a factor of it.
Yeah, definitely. And it poses some challenge. And I don't think anyone out there, even some of the top players in the remote model space, have necessarily perfected the craft of how do you really tag in those retail items to make an impact. Again, that's ancillary stuff. Your main focus is getting the rental, right? So I wouldn't put too much stock into it, but my gosh, if we figure out a way to make it like a one-stop shop where they walk into their unit and like Barry said, their 10 boxes, their locks, their packing tape, their mattress covers, whatever they need is already there. That'd be great.
Well, there are vendors too. There are vendors who offer like vending machines for those items. So you could just have that on site. and offer that for online rentals.
Do you know how hard it is for me at the airports to pass by the Kylie Cosmetics vending machine and not buy stuff? So vending machines for big products work. That's me. I've fallen victim to it a couple times. 2 final quick questions. So we're going to play a wrap-up video. We're going to come back for a couple announcements. So sorry, guys, we're going over by 2 minutes. Grace and Barry, and sorry, Mario, this is for them more than you because they're operators right now. You should be tracking this. So tell me what owners should be tracking to see their retail against their rentals.
I think the common KPI, Barry, tell me if this is not what you guys track, but it's on average, how much retail did you sell per rental? And so you just track how much retail came in the end of the month divided by how many rentals you got that month. And that's the KPI that you track.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how we do ours. I mean, we break it up. We have 2 different categories as far as our KPI number goes. We kind of base it off of amount of rentals per month, but it's $20 to $25 per rental is kind of what we're looking for.
Cool.
So that's your goal. I think that's a great goal. I think that's standard from what Jessica and I heard from those other operators. Our achieved KPI is a little lower than that. And so we're looking to prioritize that.
Yeah, for sure. When you get these products in and you're putting them out in your retail space in your office, what's your markup on the product?
Oh, anywhere from 150 to 200%.
Yeah, same as Grace. We're in the same neighborhood.
Yeah, and online, again, that online lock, we're selling it for $20, and so that's an even larger mock-up.
When you say online lock, Grace, which one are you referring to that you're using?
Excuse me. So when you buy or when you rent a unit online, we put a disc lock unless we have to do a cylinder lock because of the facility. We put a disc lock in that unit, and that's a $20 fee.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I'm sorry. I was taking it as like one of the new Bluetooth locks like Nokia or whatever, but people that are
using you won't. That would be a different process.
Yeah, it is.
So great. So it's basically that extra part is basically your convenience fee for setting that lock up in the unit and having it customer ready.
Yeah, and again, that's not the fee that we charge in the office, but that is there's that convenience part of it.
Yeah, heck yeah. Well, thank you all so much for being here. Sadly, we have run out of time. Always a pleasure to talk with each and every one of you and learn from you all. I hope the audience feels the same. The replay of this will be on the SBOA YouTube channel. If you need to come back and reference anything, Grace, Mario, and Barry's contact information will be in the description of the YouTube video if you'd like to reach out to Grace or Barry. They both of their companies offer third-party management. And then Mario obviously can talk to you about commercial insurance for your property, whether you need general liability, property insurance, or even tenant insurance through the SBOA tenant insurance program. Thanks again for being here, everyone. Stay tuned. We have a video for you, and I have a couple announcements at the end about some upcoming events.
Thank you, Jeff.
Best Self Storage Insurance is an independent licensed agency providing fully integrated, turnkey solutions tailored to self-storage owners and tenants. We are a one-stop source for the best quotes from a variety of providers, ensuring a customer's exact self-storage insurance needs are covered. We provide property and casualty insurance that protects against property losses to your business, against legal liability that may result from injury or damage to the property of others. To learn more, visit www.bestselfstorageinsurance.com or call 1-888-212-5109 for more information.
Okay, a few quick announcements. We are back on August 17th for another episode of Self-Storage Unlocked. Our title for this one is Changes in the Self-Storage Lending Environment. Interest rates are still a little on the higher side. So this one will be a good one. We have some really great speakers coming in for that one. So please go out onto the SBOA website under upcoming events and register August 17th, 11 to 12, changes in the self-storage lending environment. And we're about 4 weeks away from the big National Self-Storage Association conference and trade show that's being held the first week of September in Las Vegas at the MGM. We will be there, I believe. Grace's, I think all of us from today's call will be there. I see it at the bottom of the screen. Please go to the Expo Hall map that they have for you on the selfstorage.org websites. That's the National SSA's website, selfstorage.org website. You can go on there, register for the event if you haven't already, and then you can visit the Expo Hall and see where each one of our respective booths are. Please come visit with us while you're out there. We'd love to meet owners and operators and just help you along this journey. And again, please follow us on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and now TikTok. So please go follow the SBOA on any of those channels. We put tons of updates and fun videos and information out there for you. And if you're struggling with any particular topic and you want the SBOA to put that into our educational webinar lineup, you can simply email info@thesboa.com, submit the topic of choice that you would like to hear more about from us. We are a content machine and hub, so we're always looking for content ideas. Hope you all have a great rest of your afternoon and hope to see you live in a couple weeks in Vegas. And don't forget, August 17th, Self-Storage Unlocked, changes in the lending environment. And then on August 24th, Storage for Rookies. That's a one-day virtual training for newer owners and operators or smaller owners and operators that are looking to scale and grow their portfolio. It's a great training day, lots of information. So hopefully you guys join us for those. All of that information can be found on our website or social media. So check us out, give us a like, give us a follow. Thanks for joining us today. Hope you got a lot of great information out of the session. Take care, everyone.